Released by Square Enix in 2002 on the PlayStation 2 and re-released for the PS3 and Vita, director Motomu Toriyama and writer Kazushige Nojima returned to create the first true sequel for a main series installment. Unlike the series' tones emphasized in the first game, the sequel chose a much more lighthearted approach with pop overtones, while still addressing the aftermath of a post-Sin Spira. For characters, there are only three: Yuna, Riku, and newcomer Pain. For combat, the game chose to adopt a modified ATB system from previous installments, though it would be faster in pace and possible for two actions to occur at the same time. The biggest change was in the adaptation of an interchangeable class system called the Garment Grid. There are 17 possible jobs, plus an extra character exclusive one tied to a garment called the Dress Sphere that players can dynamically shift to in the middle of combat, changing their skills, stats, and abilities to adjust to complex enemies. For gameplay, most of Spira is re-explored, as most of the content is composed of optional activities and side quests with plentiful minigames. Unlike the previous game, the entire pace is actually player-determined and mission-based rather than flowing naturally along the main campaign, allowing players to complete as much or little as they like apart from the main quest. The story only gets larger from here, so let's cut it down to size with a recapitation. It's been 2 years since the defeat of Sin, and Spira is adjusting to dramatic social culture changes. With the Age of Summoners ended, Yuna is now informally leading a group of Sphere Hunters called the Gullwings, whose main agents are herself, her cousin Riku, and their friend Pain. They crash a concert in Luca in order to reclaim a garment grid stolen by her rival Sphere Hunter LeBlanc and her two lackeys, Logos and Ormi. After winning back her songstress Dress Sphere, Yuna notes it seems to take over her body like it has a mind of its own, and their technical support, a boy named Shinra, says it's possible if the emotions of the person recorded in the sphere were strong enough. The rest of their Albed crew on the airship Celsius is their pilot and alleged leader, Riku's brother, named Brother, and their information operator, Buddy. For Yuna, her journey as a Sphere Hunter began when she once saw a Sphere recording of Tidus she never saw before, and continues as she hunts for more clues. A Sphere Hunter is exactly that, a hunter seeking valuable spheres hidden across Spira. Since many contain powerful memories that can even impart knowledge or abilities to its user, powerful or entertaining ones are highly valued. As her hunt brings her to Besaid Island, it's revealed Yuna ran away to join the Gullwings rather suddenly. Since the Eternal Calm began, Wakka married Lulu, and they are expecting their first child soon. She shows them the sphere that compelled her to become a Sphere Hunter, and it's one Kamari found atop Mount Gagazet. Within, they see someone with a striking resemblance to Tidus trapped and in trouble, though she's still looking for clues. Visiting Macalania Woods, she meets with Trummel, Seymour's former aide, and learns that the Guado are in hard times. They apologize for how they treated her, and now suffer the ire of many races across Spira, especially the Ronso, who delivered firm revenge for Seymour personally killing so many of their own. Now, they hide in the woods, preferring to repent for their actions with obscurity. Visiting Zanarkand Ruins, they are shocked to see Cid has turned the once sacred place into a tourist attraction, which Yuna is less than pleased with. However, they do find a curious cracked sphere within and take it anyway. Moving on, they visit Kilika Port, which has been rebuilt into a prospering community again by one of the three major factions rising in Spira, the Youth League. In fact, when they arrive, there is already a confrontation occurring between them and another faction, New Yevon, as the Youth League wants a sphere of historical records that is stored in Kilika Temple. Nuge, leader of the Youth League, leads the organization in their mission to make public the true hidden history of Spira, which previously was being concealed by the temples of Yevon. It's mostly composed of a lot of former members of the faith that have become disillusioned and angry at their religious dishonesty in the past, and are not afraid to openly fight to obtain their goal. However, New Yevon, which is no longer concealing the fact that they use formerly forbidden Machina, are prepared with a golem for defense. Though, the Gullwings defeat the Machina and snatch the sphere from underneath both groups. Viewing it, they see the Tidus look-alike in front of a massive monstrous Machina and talking of saving a person named Len, and Yuna finds herself oddly upset by this. That night, when she falls asleep still wearing the songstress outfit, she has a dream of being chased by soldiers with Tidus and getting shot down in front of the massive Machina they saw earlier. The dream is both vivid and upsetting, and afterwards they decide to return the ominous sphere back to the Yevon Temple in Bevel. In Bevel, Yuna is greeted graciously as her reputation as High Summoner is still held in high regards. Within, they meet the leader of the New Yevon organization, Baralai. He explains that the Machina they saw in the sphere is Vegnagun, a weapon built 1,000 years ago and a little earlier than Sin's appearance. Unfortunately, he doesn't know who the man in the sphere was. Returning to their ship, they learn LeBlanc has snuck in and stolen away the broken sphere fragment they found in Zanarkand. As they look for disguises with which to sneak into her mansion with, they run across Gippal, leader of the third major group in Spira, the Machine Faction, who now celebrate an advanced Machina since they are not really considered taboo anymore. Like with Nuge and Baralai, it seems Gippal also knows pain somehow. Later, they meet Kamari and Mount Gagazet, leading the surviving members of the Ronso, and after finding the uniforms needed, they visit LeBlanc's home, which used to be Seymour's mansion in Guado Salam. Within, they overhear LeBlanc, who is in love with Nuge, helping him learn the location of Vegnagun, which he has plans for. When they discover a new sphere in LeBlanc's base, they watch it and learn of a bloody selection process for something called the Crimson Squad, wherein 4 people had unexpectedly survived a supposed death trap. Further within, they locate their stolen sphere piece and find LeBlanc had the other half, and are soon discovered. After beating LeBlanc again, they watch the reunited sphere and see it covers Vegnagun in more detail, including his location beneath Bevelle. Actually, they all agree with LeBlanc and Nuge that it needs to be dismantled before it can be used to harm anyone, and the 2 teams cooperate and head for Bevelle. Descending into the depths of the temple, they recognize the area as indeed the same as the ancient sphere and soon encounter Baralai. The young Praetor for Yevon insists Vegnagun is not to be disturbed and both sides clash. After edging out a win, they move ahead and are shocked to be halted by a Dark Aeon version of Bahamut, as it's thought all Aeons are no more since there are no more faith. Weathering its attacks and winning, Yuna is still in disbelief, but soon arrives in the chamber of Vegnagun. However, all they find is a large, deep hole and Vegnagun gone. Worse yet, all of a sudden, fiends have begun appearing and flooding out of every temple across Spira, and suddenly Nuge and Baralai disappear as well. As they choose to start a monster extermination service, they discover another sphere recording from the old war that once again shows the same Tidus lookalike warning that he'll use Vegnagun against its creator Bevelle. It's clear by now that Machina is a relic from the war 1,000 years ago between Bevelle and Zanarkand, which resulted in Sin and a dramatically different Spira. Given that it's also from the same time period Tidus claimed to be from, and that he looks just like him, may mean a deeper connection and warrants further investigation. Revisiting Besaid, they help out Wakka, who is clearing out their own Temple of Fiends, and butting heads with a member of the Youth League who is rushing to burn the entire temple down as a solution. Within, they find another dark version of Yuna's first Aeon, Valefor, and it seems to be the source of the Fiend generation. Defeating it, even Wakka admits it's sometimes foolhardy to risk everything for just one memory, using his nostalgic attachment to this temple as an example. After taking care of a Dark Ifrit in Kilika Temple, they note another hole where the Faith used to be, and that it seems similar to what they found with Vegnagun and Bevelle. Responding to Djose Temple, they find Gippal has up and left too, though take the time to defeat a Dark Ixion within. However, after winning the battle, a spontaneous explosion knocks Yuna into the hole of their Faith chamber. When she wakes up, she's in her songstress outfit in a strange place. When the man she's been looking for steps in, she wonders if it's Tidus, but he introduces himself as Shuyan and mistakes her for Len. It turns out that after they were murdered, Shuyan lingered as an unsent and observed that Spira is an unsavable mess of constant battling. So, he intends to use Vegnagun to end it all and pass on in peace with Len. However, Yuna finds her outfit is suddenly paralyzing her with an overload of emotions, and she's unsure if they're her own or Len's. Suddenly, a shout by Nuge breaks the illusion, and she finds Baralai was apparently possessed by Shuyan, as Gippal and Nuge help her up. They pass her some spheres for Pain and go after him, as she soon finds herself in the depths of Bevelle. After getting picked up by the group, it's confirmed Len was the original owner of the songstress dress sphere Yuna wears, and Pain begins to explain her relation to Nuge, Gippal, and Baralai. Once, the 3 men were candidates for the Crimson Squad, and Pain was assigned as the recorder during the trial. The squad was intended to be an elite combat group under command of Yevon, as a replacement for the many Crusader leaders lost to Sin, but everyone but them died during an accident during the trial. The cause was unknown, so after they survived and split up, Pain became a spear hunter to uncover the truth. Meanwhile, with the main 3 leaders of Spira all gone, Yuna decides to calm things down for the populace before tensions between the lost followers erupt into open violence. Somehow, the suggestion to hold a concert and unite the people to calm things down gets group approval, and they organize a massive event. Len's feelings within the dress sphere get stronger, and before the concert, Yuna reminds the people of Spira of the terrible civil war that once occurred and resulted in Sin. Len's voice begins to come out of Yuna and urges Spira not to tear itself apart again. As she sings, Len's memories manifest themselves as she takes the place of Yuna and reveals to everyone how War drove Shuyan to try and activate Vegnagun and end it himself, only for Len to try to stop it, and they both end up getting killed because of it. After a heartfelt song, the audience indeed empathizes with each other and begins to end their petty squabbling. Afterwards, they learn Len was once a popular songstress forced to become a summoner due to the wartime. Because Zanarkand's summoners were dying on the front lines, Shuyan wanted to save Len and end the war at the same time, and so sought to steal away the enemy Bevelle's Machina weapon and destroy them with it. Of course, it did not work out. Meanwhile, they see a new transmission from Nuge and Gippal in the far plane, planning to move on Vegnagun soon. Elsewhere, in Besaid Village, Lulu's baby is born, and Wakka names his new son Vidina. Over in Zanarkand, they learn Vegnagun was actually never used, even to fight Sin, because it could not distinguish between friend or foe, and would kill indiscriminately. Thus, it was hidden and labeled a failure. Over in Guado Salam, Trommel and the rest of the Guado are ready to stop hiding and accept consequences for their actions head-on and in peace, though Kamari insists the Ronso want no more bloodshed. Humbly relieved, Trommel accepts the role as a new leader of the Guado. Over in the Thunder Plains, they help Sid out of a rough spot, help him reconcile his argument with Brother, and resolve a long family dispute. Finally, over in Beacon El Desert, they find the hidden Cactuar village and help with an overwhelming fiend invasion. Preparations complete, they're ready to take on Vegnagun and save Spira, as well as Nuge, Gippal, and Barreleye. Making their journey to the far plane, they jump down the hole Vegnagun left underneath Bavel and defeat more Dark Aeons, starting with Shiva and followed by Anima. After defeating these former allies, the Faith of Bahamut comes out and explains they tried to warn everyone, but ended up getting consumed by the darkness and getting turned into fiends instead. He also warns them that it's not the real Shuyin they're fighting, but his lingering hatred remaining here unsent, to which Yuna decides she'll dispel with Len's love. Further along, they pass their allies in this mission, Team LeBlanc, who was told to stay behind, and Gippal, who passes Pain a sphere of their good old times as friends with dreams of flying their own airship. Approaching the self-aware Machina, they find Nuge, who comments Barreleye is still being controlled by Shuyin's hate in order to control Vegnagun. Nuge offers to sacrifice himself to take out Shuyin and himself at the same time, but Yuna refuses to let more allies be sacrificed for the greater good, and excusing it by saying there is no other choice. When LeBlanc and Gippal catch up, they all agree that Vegnagun is just a big oversized Machina that they can team up to dismantle, and Yuna gains support for her plan to beat Shuyin's hate with Len's love. Splitting up to catch it in a pincher attack, they drive into the core of Vegnagun, though Barreleye is persistent in activating the cannon and priming for attack. All teams working together, the Gullwings succeed in knocking out the head of the super weapon. Next, they get Shuyin to come down and face them, and Yuna changes garment to convey Len's feelings for him. However, he realizes the ruse at the last second and attacks, surprisingly wielding the exact same special moves and skills as Tidus. And so, Yuna, Riku, and Pain fight and defeat the Ghost of Shuyin, the Zanarkand native, and Tidus lookalike. Defeating him, the true spirit of Len comes out to comfort and confront Shuyin, and this time he knows it's the real deal. Len's love reaches through to the lingering spirit, and after 1,000 tormented years, the tragic couple can finally rest in peace and pass on together. Len thanks Yuna as she fades away with Shuyin as the battle ends with love and peace victorious. As the game concludes, the allies make their way out of the far plane where Bahamut pauses Yuna and asks if she wants to be together with Tidus again, which she agrees to. Bahamut says the Faith can't promise anything, but will try something, and fades away. Next, the three young leaders of Spira unite themselves, apologize to the public, and promise to help Spira into a future of prosperity together. As the game ends, we see the conclusion to the previous game, in which Tidus wakes up underwater outside Besaid Island. As he makes it to the shore, the Celsius flies in and breaks right above him, in which Yuna leaps off and embraces her original goal at long last. Almost in disbelief himself, Tidus is truly back. They're greeted and congratulated by Wakka, Lulu, and the residents of Besaid, and later, Tidus theorizes the Faith reassembled him from memories, but wonders if that means he's still a dream. Promising to cherish each other, Tidus and Yuna look ahead to the future and beyond. Final Fantasy X-2 has enjoyed the success of selling over 6.5 million copies worldwide.